Well, hello. So glad to have you. Welcome back to this digital learning how-to series designed to help teachers become experts in digital learning. Today's topic is part of Lesson 5, which deals with classwork. And this section, Lesson 5.2, deals with the two most common types of classwork, assignments and quiz assignments. Today's topics will be dealing with creating classwork, assignments and quiz assignments in more detail, rubrics and originality, and the student view and how that's different than the teacher view. Let's jump into a reminder about how to create classwork. When we're in the Classwork tab, and remember you get to the Classwork tab by choosing this Tabs chooser at the top. The second option is Classwork. Clicking that Create button gives you the opportunity to create one of those four types of classwork or to reuse a post or produce a topic. We want to focus on the two top kinds of classwork, assignment and quiz assignment. Before we get into too much detail, I want to remind you that assignments are the broadest type of classwork that you can assign to students. A quiz assignment is really just like a subset of an assignment. Anything that a quiz assignment can do, an assignment can also do as well. Let's jump into a live class and see how that works. Since a quiz assignment is a little bit more narrow, I want to talk about what makes it different first. By creating a quiz assignment, if you click the plus create button and then choose quiz assignment, it'll make an assignment and attach a form with the title blank quiz there. It'll make sure that that form is turned into a quiz and has grade importing chosen. I'm going to discard that for now. And let's look at an assignment which is broader. Assignments have a number of different opportunities for you to interact with students and assign different types of work. Notice that in many cases, assignments are going to be involving student responses that are written, that are typed, but you could have other types. Like this particular assignment asks students to find pictures of optical phenomena in their home. Or you could make your notes part of an assignment. Make the assignment really to watch the notes. Or maybe this is a follow-up to a class lecture that students watch live. Maybe in this case, I was asking students to watch the lecture, which was recorded, and then ask a question about the lecture or prompted by the lecture, and then answer a classmate's question. I also attached the PowerPoint slides that I wanted students to follow along that I was using while I taught. I used the permissions checker to make a copy for each student so that they could actually type notes in the speaker notes section of that PowerPoint as they were following along while they were watching the lecture. Let's look at one more assignment type. Got this example assignment. And I want to remind you that an assignment could include a number of different types of attachments, and one of those could be a form. So you could actually create a form or add a form while you were designing that assignment, and you could actually turn that into a quiz. Here's how you do that. When you create the blank form, choose the Settings gear menu on the top right, and then one of the three options, main options on that Settings gear menu is the quizzes. If you choose Make a Quiz, and on the General section, if you choose Limit to one response and collect email addresses, then you've done everything that a quiz assignment does. So an assignment is broader. The quiz assignment is narrower. It just already has those that form attached and those few settings arranged. I'm going to get rid of that one. And look at this example quiz that has examples of the different assignment types. The different question types that a quiz would provide. So the default question type that a quiz includes is a multiple choice question. And that multiple choice question could have a question entered here where I have this text. And then the answer choices could be text or could be images as well. And you could also add an image to the question as well. In addition to a multiple choice question, you have the opportunity to ask a short answer question. A paragraph response question. You could ask students to upload a file. When you do that, you could specify which type of file they're allowed to upload and specify how big that file is and how many files they're allowed to attach. You could ask a checkbox question, and a checkbox question allows you to have more than one correct response. You could have a multiple choice grid question. That allows one correct response in each row. You could have a a grid checkbox question, which allows multiple responses in each row. You can add a section, add an image, or add a video as well. So those quiz assignments are really quite powerful in getting responses from each individual student. Again, you could use those as an assessment, or you could use those as a survey or as an informal way of getting feedback from students. So assignments are really quite powerful, quite broad in their capabilities. You could turn an assignment into a quiz assignment on your own, kind of manually, by adding that form. That quiz assignment just does one or two steps for you. I want to point out for you that grade importing is an option for both assignments and quiz assignments, but it's only an option if that assignment has a single attachment and it is a form. So if you add an extra attachment, you can no longer use that grade importing. That's not super important, but sometimes is helpful for you on the back end, and we'll look at that in a future video. So if you have a little bit more details about assignments and quiz assignments, I want to also talk about rubrics and originality. And you get to those on the details pane. They're the bottom two options on the details pane. The details pane is present whenever you are editing an assignment and gives you opportunities to do things like change who that's for, how many points, the due dates, etc. Let's jump over to a live class and have a look at the rubric and originality checker. So this particular assignment has a rubric attached to it, and I want you to see what that looks like. So I can view that by clicking the Edit Assignment. And over here next to Rubric, I've already got a rubric attached. This particular rubric has 3 categories in which students can earn points: originality, relevance, and insightfulness. This was that assignment where they had to ask a question about notes and then describe for them in as much detail as I could exactly what it would take to earn that number of points in each of those categories. So this was a 30-point assignment, and they could get 10 points for each category, and this laid out for them exactly what it would take to get each of those points. That was really helpful for them, and it was also really helpful for me when I graded. It was a little bit of work to set up that rubric, but once that rubric was set up, then grading the work was a lot easier, and I felt like I was a lot more consistent in my grading. I also want to look at the originality checker. Go back to my assignment. And this last checkbox here is our check for plagiarism, check for originality. If you check that box, then it brings up the opportunity to use Google's tools to search the web and also all of the assignments that have been submitted for our school and see if the written work of that student is unique. At this point, we've got 3 opportunities per class, so I'm not going to use one of those up, and we're looking to expand that. If you have an assignment and you want to add a rubric, I just want to show you how to do that. You can choose that assignment and edit that assignment. If you wanted to add a rubric, you have the opportunities to create a rubric or reuse a rubric that you've already created. If you want to create a rubric, it gives you the opportunity to go through what criteria you're going to use and how many points would be available in each of those criteria. I want to point out one thing just as an aside. I talked to you about the fact that you can assign classwork to more than one class at a time, but that option is only available when the work has not already been assigned. If you choose to schedule something and choose, say, for example, that it's going to show up tomorrow morning, then it's almost like that work has already been assigned, just isn't there yet. So if it's already scheduled, then you can't choose more than one class. Let's go ahead and schedule that work for tomorrow. Let students see it there. All right. I also want to talk briefly about how the student view is a little bit different than the teacher view. And in particular, when we're talking about quizzes and quiz assignments and forms. So let's jump to a student view. Here's a test student view of this particular practice class. Let's look at one of the assignments. So first of all, I want to show you guys what it looks like for a student when they have a quiz to take. So let's look at a quiz that they still have to take. Remember, it's blue or colored in when it hasn't been done yet, and it will be grayed out when it already is completed. A student clicks on that, and if they click on the quiz within it, it pulls up that form, and they've only got the opportunity to do that once. Once they've looked at it, they have the opportunity to see their score. This particular quiz was not graded. However, another one of the assignments was a graded quiz. I want to give you the opportunity to see how a student would see their score on a graded quiz, graded form. So they can see their score by going back to that quiz and clicking View Score. And they can see their question, what response they chose, and what the correct answer was if it's different than their answer. I want to talk to you back on the teacher view about how you'd make sure that students are able to see that view. So let's look at one that has a quiz assignment and look at the settings to make sure that we are aware about when the students can and when the students cannot actually see their score. So you'd adjust those options by clicking the gear menu, the settings gear menu, choosing the quizzes tab of that settings. And then students can only view their score if this radio button immediately after each submission is chosen. What I do for my quizzes, whenever I have students in the class that are still working on a quiz, I choose the radio button that says later after manual review. And then once all of the students are finished, then I'll go back to this settings and choose immediately after each submission and click save. And if that is not done, then students are not able to see their responses on the quiz. So I want you to be aware of that.